So today we come to the final part of this lesson series we've been doing, lessons schools don't teach. Now, most schools don't teach this lesson, especially this last one, and it's very crucial. How do you know whether you are improving? How do you know whether you are going down? You see, man is either improving or he's deteriorating. But how do you know? We call it measurement. Now, measurement is how to find out measurable result in reasonable time. What we mean by measurable, it means whatever you do, you have to be able to quantify. You know, some cannot be quantifiable, but you can say you have reduced it to zero. And we start by putting pressure on ourselves. For if you allow somebody else to put pressure on you, they might put too much pressure. If you allow the government, the economic system to put pressure on you, they might actually put too much pressure. It's you who knows the limit. So maybe let me ask you out here. I would like to get a question, this question answered by my good guest. So how many years should a child spend in the 10th grade? Let me just see. Can you type the answer there? How many years should a child spend in the 10th grade? And somebody says, about how many? Aha. What if the child is like a nice kid? Wouldn't we give him 4 years? Okay, I didn't see your answer. Kindly quickly type how long, about how many years should a child spend in the 10th grade? That's the question. I saw some answers here. Let me just read them out to you. In one grade, the 10th grade, someone spends 3 years. Okay, somebody says 1 year, about 1 year. Of course, it's about 1 year. You know why it has to be about 1 year? Because that's the reasonable time in which people expect that kind of measurable result. Moses says 1 year, that they should be moving to the next stage. What if they are good kids? They are not making noise. They are baptized. They are holy. They are lovely brown children. Well, when they are not making progress, the first year they repeat, second year they repeat. You know what you do? You start putting pressure. Uh-huh. We call the teachers, we put remedials. You know what we do? We ask the other parents, what are they doing? We call for them tuition. I think that is a lot of pressure to achieve a certain result within reasonable time. You know, children should also ask their parent, how come they are not rich? They should put pressure on you why you're not changing your financial status from one status to another. But I think society eases the ongoing demands on success, but I think there should be pressure put on yourself per year. Don't let yourself get by in doing average. Maybe some of us, since we did our last class in campus, we have not moved to the next grade. Well, let me ask another question. How many books will the community demand of you to read in a month? The answer is probably about none. Please write for me answers here at my online team. About none. Or I could ask, how much income should you be earning according to the government? Well, again, the government does not have a mark to that number. You see, somebody is even attempting. The government does not care. Even if you earn 10,000 and it's not enough, and your income and your expenditure is 20,000, nobody cares. Or, I mean, that is something that you are the one to track, you are the one to measure, you're the one to be in charge of. You can't leave it out for anybody. That's actually the point. So if you think someone will come in and help you, you uh, how much of social media should someone watch in a day? According to maybe whatever. Nobody cares whether you binge watch, or how much KFC should you eat according to the World Health Organization. They might just make recommendation, but nobody will measure for you the growth of bad behavior, and good behavior. How many devotions does the church require you to have? And if you don't, maybe something happens to you, nothing. So you need to know that there are things you are the one to put pressure on yourself in achieving. For what you can measure, you can understand. Whatever you understand, you can control. Whatever you can control, you can change. So the system of measurement is a system of self-audit. What do you do when you have finished the day? Number one, you must measure productivity. When the day ends, you must come out and say, okay, what are my work ethics? What was my creativity level? What was my focus and distraction ratio? What was my work and rest ratio when the week comes to an end? Have I been over resting? What is my productivity ratio? Is my energy levels decreasing? Should I take some leave? Should I take some holiday? Don't confuse movement for work. I ask you, have a way of measurement. Measure your health. Is that important? Yes, the hospital will not tell you, even doctors, they just want you to get sick so that you are treated. You go to the hospital. So measure your mental health. Am I getting a burnout lately? Measure your anthropometrics. I was looking for an opportunity to use a big word. It's been long. Anthropometrics is your blood pressure, blood sugar, your height, your weight, your BMI, and all these things. How good sleep are you getting lately? Okay. How much good sleep are you getting lately? How well are you eating? So you can't say what you don't know cannot hurt you. What if your arteries are clogging with time? Can you get a pressure attack? Yeah, you can. So measure your finances, measure the sources of your money, measure the outflow. What are your financial bad manners? Yeah. What are your assets? What is your net worth? That's important. That's important. You see, when you do measurements, then you'll find out maybe there's a lapse in your mindset about something. When you do measurements, maybe you can find out there are motivational diseases. Or when you measure how much you have, you can realize, okay, the muscle is slack here. I'm not doing so well in terms of my work. Maybe you know the story of the unprofitable servant. The three guys given money, and one given 5 talents, another one given 2, another one given 1 talent. The servant leaves. And then, of course, the master comes back. The first one went and traded with the 5 talents, brought in another 5. He has 10. So he reports like this: Master, you give me 5, here is another 5. He had been tracking his progress. He says, the books will show. Yeah, then the second servant comes. You give me 2, here is another 2. He gives out the talents. The third servant shows up and says, Master, you are a hard man, reaping where you never sowed. And he has a long story. Friends, here is the catch. Here is the catch. Whenever you have long stories, you have no results. Those with results speak little. Train yourself in numbers. How much are you weighing today? If you're weighing 60, decide in a month you'll weigh 50. And put a small box where you will only write the number 50. Don't start blaming the government. Oh, this month it was December. Don't put enough space to give that excuse. How much should you be earning next year? Write a number. When the year comes, start the work. When the year ends, demand results. This is a lesson schools don't teach, to demand results in numbers. Areas to measure. Before I leave that part, let me tell you areas that you need to train yourself in measurement. Measure how you are growing in your personal growth, your self-development. What does that mean? Are you growing in communication skills? Are you growing in your career? Are you growing in your spiritual life? Are you growing in your health? Are you growing in your relationship? What about your finances? Measure them. Measure your networks also. Yeah. How many friends do you have who can show up? I had a friend, I think we are not doing very, very well lately. I need to reach out. A friend who can show up for you. Be known above your levels. Have mentors. How many mentors do you have above you? They said, I found out this article on the news that at least 80% of jobs are filled through professional networks and connection. So if you think networks are not net worths, think it again. Here's a good story about networks and money. I'll read it from John chapter 18, verse 15 to 16. A very interesting story. So Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did the other disciple. So there were 2 guys following Jesus, right? One is called Simon Peter. The other one is called another disciple. And this guy is so insignificant that his name is not even known. You know, that is very bad. Okay, which disciple do you think this guy was? So that disciple, that in the Bible just uses constantly the word that disciple. He was he was known unto the high priest. Okay, at least that's a good turn there. The guy was not like he had good connections. So what happened with him is he went in with Jesus into the palace. Oh, he went to State House. He went to big places. What happened to Simon Peter? Let's read on. This is John chapter 18. I know you didn't think such a story exists in the Bible. But Peter stood at the door without. You see, the Bible is so explicit. It even says he not only stood at the door, he stood outside. So let's assume it was raining. Let's assume there was special treatment. Let's assume this guy who went with Jesus. I don't know if you can guess who this disciple is, but the guy had connections. So then he went out, that other disciple, which was known to the high priest, and then he spake with them that kept the door, told them, bring in Peter Banner. Let this guy come in. Wonderful story. You need to measure your networks. Is there someone who can come out at the door and help you get serious access, get to State House, get to those big networks, those, somebody who can mention you? You see, some of your friends, when your name came up in an interview, they actually shut down your name, say that guy, leave him alone. Do you have growth measurement, personal development? Are you growing in people's skills? Are you learning? What is your emotional intelligence? These are things you must measure. If there is a lesson that I have learned, is to grow in measurement. The measure of intelligence, finally, is the ability to adapt and change. How do you change? You change when you know what you need to change. So also measure your creativity, your prayers. Measure if you realize, okay, I've not been coming for devotions. Prayers are reducing. The type of prayer, the weight of your prayer, the virtues in your life. Are you spending more time online than, is vice increasing? Are you serving more people today than you would serve before? You remember the prodigal son when he was leaving home, when he was prodigal, his prayers were, give me, give me, give me, give me. When he was repentant, his prayers were, make me. That's a sign that you're growing. I want to ask you today to take these lessons, go back and review these lessons that I've given you and see if you can correct your mindset. See if you can correct your motivation. See if you can correct your moods, your attitude. See if you can correct your work ethics. And today, see if you can correct your measurements. Install a system of measurement. There's one system of measurement I have used for a long time. It is my journal. My journal tracks for me my sleep time, whether I eat junk, whether I'm late. In the end of the day, that is part of my easy journaling. I just tick if I slept well, if I was in social media. So I can sit and check within a month. I can say, this is a habit I need to look for a way to deal with. With that, I would like to wish you well as you set up a measurement system in your life.